Tonight, in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, the case between CC Uru and co in the state of Cameroun has been adjourned to the 10th of January 2019. The State Council would have to present the list of witnesses on the 10th of January when the matter resumes. We tell you more in this edition of the news. Also ahead, we walk through the professional journey of Cameroun Francis, that is the maiden president of the disarmament committee that has so far been marked by managerial lapses. He says, however, that he's up to the task. We shall be getting his views in this edition of the news. Also ahead, we would be talking about local organizing committee officials as far as the 2019 AFCON Games is concerned that have continued to tour around stadia as well as other sports infrastructures that were due to host the 2019 AFCON that has so far been withdrawn from Cameroon. Those are headlines. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Let's begin right away in Yaoundé. The case between CC Uru and other Amazonian leaders and activists has been adjourned to January 10th, 2019. The 10 of them accused of promoting terrorism, secession, complicity with acts of terrorism, propagating false information and non-possession of ID cards were at the military court. That was this Thursday. The case was adjourned for the state prosecutor to present their list of witnesses and for the defense to be acquainted with the file. It should be noted that the defense objected to the list of witnesses which were not served 5 days before the hearing as stipulated by Section 414 of the Criminal Procedure Code in Cameroon. CC Uru and close to 50 others were arrested in Nigeria. That was in January 2018 and transferred to Cameroon. On to something else. How is the disarmament committee going to be solving the current sociopolitical crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon? The question was put to some Bamenda residents by our reporter Mbo Stella. To some of them, it is just a window dressing and is not going to yield any positive fruit. Let's get their reactions in the following report.
It is with mixed feelings that Cameroonians in Bamenda received the news of the recent decree by President Paul Biya creating what they have described as yet another committee.
The head of state should appoint that commission. It's just a committee, just like catching a snake at the middle.
How do you go disarming people that have refused to discuss with you or that you have not discussed with? How do you think they will listen to you? And so it is wrong to start creating a committee now when the real thing, when the dialogue that should have taken place before the committee being created has not taken place.
Cameroun Francis has been appointed as National Coordinator for the Committee for the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration of Ex-Fighters of Boko Haram and armed groups in the northwest and southwest regions. The retired civil administrator had served the nation in the then Northwest Province as governor between October 1996 and July 1998. Some inhabitants of the Northwest Regional Capital have described him as the right person for the right job at the wrong time.
He's a person who can deliver the good, but they are too late for him to do it. He is looking aged. He should be somebody who can be appointed to handle something else and not something boiling like this. That position needed a young man who can at least move from place to place, make negotiations before asking people to drop their arms.
He is someone that can deliver the goods, but I am sorry, Your Excellency, Mr. Fayango, you are just being put in there to rub yourself in the mud because your commission will not deliver any goods. It will fail like the other committees have been failing because they always come at the wrong time.
How can you put a head that cannot even go back to his village to go and ask, for example, his own village people to lay down their guns? How will he reach his own village to ask them to lay down their guns? He is just putting new wine in old cups.
In order for the disarmament, demobilization and reintegration of ex-Boko Haram fighters and armed groups in the northwest and southwest regions to succeed, the following proposals have been made.
The head of state needed to at least was supposed to at least have genuine dialogue with the party concerns and resolve to either accepting that they should disarm themselves, because he cannot just get up one morning like that and just create a commission and say people should come and drop their weapons. Because one, when you call for war, it means that there must be some procedures to call off this war, and that procedure must go along with the third party. The two parties agree that okay, we are going to drop down our weapons.
Although many have been expressing doubts to the success of the committee, all hopes are not lost, as the return to normalcy still remains a priceless jewel for inhabitants of the northwest and southwest regions who are living in homes far away from their homes due to the ongoing crisis.
And the newly appointed coordinator of the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee says that he is up to the task and is confident to benefit from the collaboration of the entire population of the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Fayengo Francis said that peace should be restored before dialogue, and for peace to return, the fighters must be ready to drop their weapons. He equally told those in the bushes to return and drop their weapons. He was speaking to Equinoxe television on phone. Let's hear him in the following excerpt.
First impressions were that I am extremely grateful to the person who has appointed me, His Excellency the President of the Republic. I'm aware of the challenges ahead, of the weight that is ahead, but I think that with all the instructions, high instructions that he started giving, with all the collaboration that I will have from the sectors, from the administrations who were specifically named on the decree, and with other administrations, but particularly with the support from the population. I think with all this, we can go a step ahead. But particularly, I would like to also think that I will appeal to the guys who are outside the country, Cameroonians, be they nationals or non-nationals, so that we can stop what is happening. We can look for another solution instead of continuously losing our youth, instead of damaging our economy. We have to make peace. I'm thinking of peace first. I'm thinking of people laying arms down. I'm thinking of people coming out of the bush. When we obtain peace, we can talk. Everything is possible after that. My preoccupation is that, peace should return to these places.
Fayengo Francis, who is for peace, he is the senior civil administrator and has had a long career, which in most cases has been marked by managerial lapses and natural disaster. It should be noted that he was senior divisional officer for Menchum in the northwest region of Cameroon, that was by that time northwest province, when the Legnos disaster killed close to 2,000 people. It should be noted as well that he was equally banned from leaving the country several months back. Details for me, Armstrong Sander.
Done unusually 5 days after the creation of the National Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee for ex-fighters of Boko Haram and armed groups in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. President Paul Biya appoints Fayengo Francis as coordinator. It is a new challenge for the civil administrator, born on 11 of February 1955. He is a graduate from the National Advanced School of Administration and Magistracy in 1980 bar, board chair of the National Civil Status Registration Office, BUNEG. Fayengo Francis was senior divisional officer for Menchum in the then northwest region of the country when the Legnos disaster killed about 2,000 individuals, with a record catastrophic management from the then Minister of Territorial Administration, Jean-Marcel Mengeme. Fayengo Francis then moved to be governor of the Adamawa, his native northwest region, the center and the littoral regions successively, where he was appointed board chair of the Douala Port Authority. Under his leadership as board chair, the management team of the Douala Port Authority with its Director General, Dayas Menume, was accused of poor management, causing the Director General to escape from Cameroon, and Fayengo Francis banned from traveling out of the country last April. President Paul Biya has therefore chosen to count on the long administrative experience of Faye Yengo Francis with the hope of finding a success formula to the disarmament, demobilization and reintegration of ex-fighters of Boko Haram and armed groups in the northwest and southwest regions of the country.
That is for me, Armstrong Sander. They're reporting now. A delegation from German parliamentarians, or from some German parliamentarians were in Yaoundé, Cameroon. That was yesterday, and they have so far hailed government's effort in the implementation of the national disarmament, or the putting in place of the National Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee that is aimed at stopping violence in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon and also in the far north region of the country. They also promised to assist the Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. They met with members of the Peter Mafani Musongelet organ that was yesterday in Yaoundé. Details with Innocent Aze.
The National Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee, created by Paul Biya, President of the Republic of Cameroon, to stop violence and foster peace, stability and development in the country, is an external emulated example. This is held by a delegation of German parliamentarians in Cameroon after meeting in Yaoundé with the commission in charge to promote bilingualism and multiculturalism. Their wish is seeing it succeed in Cameroon, just like it has been the case in other countries.
This is a measurement that has been successful in other countries, so hopefully this will also be successful here in Cameroon.
The German parliamentarians in Cameroon also stand to support the Peter Mafani Musonge's commission.
The promotion of bilingualism in Cameroon, I think it's one of the pieces that the Cameroonian people could bring forward to get peace and stability in this country, which we think is very important because we've got a very beautiful country here.
Youths and women, the German parliamentarians say, are primary beneficiaries of their expertise. They are to dish out to the country.
Our contribution, of course, is, for instance, in promoting economic cooperation and development, and we've got we were also in the extreme north, and we were having a look to projects there which is focusing on the youth, and that's what we take with us. Also continue with focusing on the youth and on the role of the women here in this country, because I think this is very important.
It is the second delegation from Germany that pays a visit to the Commission to promote bilingualism and multiculturalism within a month.
And many Cameroonians, especially young people, have continued to undertake the perilous journey out of the country for greener pastures through illegal roads. Some perish rather in the process. Others succeed to get to Europe, to America and other parts of the globe, but are victims of maltreatment. Those who succeeded to return home through the efforts of the International Organization for Migration are gradually being reintegrated into the society. Babla Jonathan tells us more in the following report.
These Cameroonian migrants brought back home by the International Organization for Migration are in their reintegration process. They are receiving aid that will facilitate their reintegration into the normal life trend.
For IOM, it's very important today to just give this reintegration package, which is very symbolic. Why is symbolic? It's because we already provide the integration package for at least more than 815, and I think that today we will have at least 900 people who already benefit from this package of reintegration.
The aids given by the International Organization for Migration correspond to respective areas of activity.
The package is not standard. We have some migrant who has just 400,000 or 500,000. In the same time, we have some migrants who benefit at least around 700. It depends of the quality of the activity that the migrant would like to establish.
The initiative is slowed down by several challenges that the International Organization for Migration is working to overcome.
We already facilitate the return of more than 2,400 migrants. So means that we still have more than 1,500 who are waiting to get their package of reintegration. And we know that this will take time, and we would like to provide this message that they have to wait. It's a process. We are working together with the government counterpart in order to see in which way we can accelerate the process of their integration.
The beneficiaries have been urged to make judicious use of what they have received to put their lives back on track.
Guidance counseling is pivotal for an academic career, but very few students have access to some guidance counselors. The student counselor ratio in Cameroun is extremely low, though the government has not ceased to talk about the professionalization of the educational system in the country. Derek Jato in the following report is going to be telling us how some students are either advised by their parents or some students. Details in the following story.
You can sponsor yourself as a university student.
Most of these university students here, drawn from both the public and private higher learning institutions, say they have never seen or listened to a guardian counselor from when they started climbing their academic ladder. And today most of them are into the fields they find themselves today, merely because of the influence of family members or friends. Experts say that is the reason why upon graduation, these university students now turn a problem. And can this University of Boya lecturer change the status quo?
Yes, actually for the past 8 years I've been doing this. I gather newly admitted students in universities and higher institutions in Boya, and the reason is to give them proper orientation concerning the world in which we live today and the nature of studies and how they can study better. So that
Mr. Musoke Lucas Lyonga, a graduate from African Leadership Institute for Community Transformation South Africa and convener of this orientation meeting, told these youth that their future is around them, not abroad.
Even those in Europe, they do this for Europe first. But we have a type of individuals or people in Africa who don't think about their continent or their nation first. They think about just going. And most of them who have gone, they have not succeeded. They have not made it. And that's why many of them cannot even come back. So when you are traveling abroad, it's not bad. But you should be traveling with a purpose, with a focused mind. Or you should not even travel. You should stay at home and continue to do things back home.
At the end of the day, these participants noted that for them not to be a problem, they should provide a solution.
So this has really caused me a change. It has changed my mentality.
I've learned firstly that I'm a problem. I'm supposed to be a problem solver. I'm supposed to be a job creator, not a job seeker. And also
the government or Cameroun is not going to be hosting the 2019 AFCON Games, but the government is not determined or is determined to complete all the AFCON projects that were earmarked across the national territory. The governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okalia Bilai, visited some projects that was in Limbe and in Boya. Derek Jato tells us more in the following report.
Voilà que on n'a rien. Voyez donc ce que ça veut dire qu'on n'a rien.
On the field in Fako Division to visit realized projects for the 2019 African Cup of Nations. The Southwest Governor Mr. Bernard Okalia Bilai said in terms of infrastructure, Southwest region had long completed its assignment.
You know that we don't have the problem of infrastructure since 2 years, 2016. All the infrastructures in the site of Boya and Limbe are ready, and we have organized here the Female African Cup of Nations, and we have been receiving other international encounters, so we don't have problem with the infrastructure. Our problems is the maintenance. That's why we came today once more to verify that everything is well maintained.
Starting at the level of Boya with hotels, during which the management gave explanations of what they call international service that have already been put in place. The next stop point was at the Moliko Stadium, which was to serve as one of the training pitches. Then the seaside resort town of Limbe, Here, hotel management briefed the press that their structure and services are in line with the specifications of the Confederation of African Football Inspection Team.
All the aspects that the CAF delegation required from us, we have met all of them.
Limbe, being the epicenter, the director of the Limbe Regional Hospital, Dr. Same Dennis, said health was taken as a priority, and with his team now sufficiently equipped, the health sector is ready.
I say for AFCON 2019, the regional hospital Limbe is very ready. Very ready in one sense, in the plateau technique. I think the government has done a lot. We've had 2 brand new theaters.
And this is that Limbe Omnisport Stadium. The announcement is everywhere as the host of one of the polls. But the Confederation of African Football was not mincing words when the body said Cameroun is not ready and therefore will not host the 2019 African Cup of Nations.
We continue to wait. We continue to receive international encounter program by the high quarters. It's not because of any disturbance in the Southwest region. The Southwest region is ready.
Today in the Southwest region, many say the poor management of the Anglophone crisis, which has resulted to increasing insecurity on the ground, was one of the reasons the Confederation of African Football CAF saw Cameroun unfit to secure the lives of the hundreds of thousands that were to come to Cameroon.
And the president or the chairman of the local organizing committee of the AFCON projects in the center region of Cameroon has continued to visit projects to host the continental game, though the hosting rights was withdrawn from the country. Governor Nasiri Paul Biya was at the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé today. He said that the roof of the said infrastructure would be completed in 8 days. Let's hear him in the following except he was speaking to Marcel Ngangsop.
After all what is being said about the situation in the Olembe Stadium, and we have realized that work is going on. I mean, for quite some time I haven't seen the population as full as I have it now. I wanted to verify how many chairs have been put in place, and we have more than 45 chairs which have already been put in place, remaining the ones of the VIPs and the ones that will have to take the logo of the lion and of the star and to finish this thing. All the chairs are around, and you can see even the roofing is remaining 8 days. The last one is being put up and it will remain 8 days for it to be finished. The playing ground started today, and we have been given assurance that by the 15th of January we'll see something different here. And all the other stadium, the other training grounds, the one at Annex B is already advanced, the grass is already growing. And so we are going to see all of that and to tell the population that we shall be ready by the 30th of March.
And that brings us to the end of this first segment of the news. Time for us to meet our guest tonight. We shall be right back in just a moment. Stay with us. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We have a series of topics to discuss with our guest tonight, who is a barrister at law, Barrister Kwama Limen. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being here.
We, of course, will be talking about the hearing in the case pitting CC Uru and Co. that resumed in Yaoundé today. Yep. But before that, we are going to find out from you about the situation of the demolition of houses in the economic capital Douala that is fast becoming a phenomenon. As a legal mind, we had a case yesterday in Makepe, that is in the Douala 5 subdivision, where dozens of persons are now in the open air after their houses were demolished. According to agents from the Douala City Council, the move is to create an enabling environment for the drainage system in that particular locality, which is always marred or hit by floods during the period of the rainy season. Barrister, as a legal mind, how do you see how things are unfolding as far as the phenomenon of destroying houses in the economic capital Douala is concerned?
You know, it's a very important question which needs a real some explanations for people to understand. The very first thing is we should identify what kind of land we're talking about. Is it a privately owned land, meaning that the inhabitants, do they have a land certificate? If they do, then there's normally a procedure to be fulfilled. But in most cases, you find that those areas, those people residing there actually don't have land certificates. So they don't have title on the land. And in most cases, equally, you discover that those areas are zones which were not
risk zones.
Yeah, the risk zones, and they took the risk to go and settle there. So if you go, you discover that they did not have real ownership. They didn't have rights to settle there, and we equally blame the government for being a bit negligent or too much understanding, because at times they see people go to build there, they say,
you allow them to build after they've settled there for decades.
Yes,
you just come in a day and destroy everything.
Yes, but I think people should be very cautious in what they do, where to go and build their houses. And maybe you like to know that at times you even want some of those people, they say, no, by the time I settled there for 10 years, I must have gained some money that I ought to have paid in rent. So most of them actually go there mindful of the fact that after a period of time, they're going to evict them.
On government's responsibility as the people's leader, the leader of the people, because this act was carried out by the Douala City Council. Tell us the responsibility of the government. You talked about the government being negligent and allowing them to construct their houses in these areas. Most of them are now homeless. Barrister, tell us the responsibility of the government. Are they not entitled to some kind of compensation or something?
Mimi, if they had land certificates, if they're owners of that land, they need compensation, which government usually does. But if they are not owners of the land, on what basis are they going to be compensated?
What about the social responsibility of the government towards its citizens?
That doesn't mean that we should do anything, because it is even illegal and condemnable by the law for you to settle on the land that does not belong to you. So it's not because you're stranded that you think you must go and occupy a piece of land. I don't think that was the right thing to do. Get your land properly, and you build in an area which is acceptable. You know, Mimi, equally that before you build, there is the building permit that they give, and that is because they want to verify if where you're building it's convenient for residents, and if the structure is going to not to jeopardize the beauty of the environment. So I think the very
what
first
about
thing,
those who had the land certificates and were never compensated by the government?
No, that is an issue. That's a legal issue.
Because we have cases where people actually had land certificates, they bought the piece, the land, and at the end of the day, the houses were destroyed, and they have never been compensated. We have teams, people that have constituted themselves into groups, asking for lawyers to defend them.
Yes, Mimi, if you have a land certificate, you must be indemnified. You must be paid. You must be given some money by the government. There's a law governing that. The government has to do it. So, but equally, those things you have to treat them case by case, because somebody might be telling you it has a land certificate, whereas the land certificate does not exist.
Finally, before we go, would want to get your reaction as far as the hearing of the case between CC Uru and Co. is concerned. It took place in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. That was today, and it has been adjourned to the 10th of January. What is your take as far as the hearing is concerned?
Well, we generally don't comment on matters in court, and I think I'm of the opinion that they did not commit any offense. I'm of that opinion, and so I even enlisted my name to be one of the counsel for the defense, and I hope by that day I'll equally be in court. I think they have not committed an offense, and it's left for us, the lawyers, to prove, to bring out those proofs and evidence in court that they should not be condemned, and the rest is the work of the judges.
Some people hold that the disarmament committee cannot be operational, or it cannot be fruitful if the ringleaders of this cause are not actually released. Most of them are behind bars.
But Mimi, what is
your point of view as far as that is concerned?
I don't understand how they even create such a committee at this time that people have not dropped arms. People are not willing. The people are not willing to drop. Both sides, the government forces are there, the separatist forces are there. I don't want to call them separatists. It's a name that the general
the pro-independence.
Pro-independence, yes, they are not ready to drop. So who is going to? They are going to collect guns from who? To me, it's an act that is not properly. It's not properly thought of.
Thank you so much, Barrister Kwama Limen, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
It's a pleasure.
To our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.